Hi, I'm Betsy Hevner, Lubbock Master Gardener and friend of the Lubbock Public Library. And today we're going to learn a little bit about how plant varieties get tested to figure out which ones are the best for our area. We're meeting at the South Plains Food Bank Grub Farm, and today we're going to talk with Christina Reed, who is the AgriLife horticulture extension agent here. She's also the advisor to Lubbock Master Gardeners, and she'll tell us a little bit about tomato trials. Hi Christina, good to see you this morning.
Hi Betsy, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's always good to be here. And I want to know, why are we testing tomatoes?
Texas AgriLife Horticulture Extension with the Lubbock Master Gardeners are conducting tomato trials this year to figure out what are the newest and best varieties of tomatoes to grow here in Lubbock.
And tomatoes are pretty popular.
Yes, tomatoes are our most popular garden crop. Everybody grows a tomato at some point in their life, and
hopes to.
Or hopes to, yes, or
Right.
attempts to.
Right.
Yeah. But so yes, we're starting our trials with tomatoes.
That sounds great. Tell us how trials work.
Sure. So trials are a way that agents and specialists with AgriLife Extension conduct our research and find out the information that we then turn around and provide to the general public.
Okay.
We have two different kinds of trials. First, we have a research grade, which is what we're doing here today with the tomatoes, and then we have a demonstration grade. And the difference is a research grade is something that we're testing that the general public is not involved with. A demonstration may be some sort of interactive display or something that we are trying to educate the general public with, that the general public can interact with. So if you see us out at different events with booths, or if you see us making videos with different things, those are more demonstrations. We're showing you something that we want you to learn.
Okay, good. That's really helpful. Well, show us the tomato trials and how it's working.
Sure. So today we are working on finishing up planting and caging these first two rows. And you can see the very west row of cages are wire cages that are not wrapped, but there's different varieties there. And we've got 4 plants of each variety that we're trialing. And then the second row here is cages that are wrapped for wind protection. So we're seeing how the wind really either hurts or helps plants. And early in spring, everybody knows that it's very windy, and so far it's showing to be hurting them. So wrapping your tomato cages seems to really be helping. But then throughout the rest of the growing season, we will measure and weigh each tomato that comes off of every single plant, come up with the amount that each plant produces per variety and per plant. We will test the sugar level and sweetness of each fruit. We will test it for different diseases and pathogens that can come in, like blossom end rot or cracking, that kind of thing. So really, once we're all finished here, we will have trialed almost 70 different varieties, and we will be able to figure out and truly tell you guys which varieties on the market right now are best here in Lubbock. This is just one site of our trial. We're here at the South Plains Food Bank Grub Farm, but we're also trialing at people's homes.
Right.
Betsy, I know you have some at your house. I have some at mine. We're trialing in the ground. We're trialing in raised beds, in containers, in hydroponic systems, in greenhouses, and high tunnels like this. So really, any single way that somebody here in Lubbock would try to grow a tomato, we are trying to replicate that to bring y'all that information.
And so when we finish the trial, which I guess will be at the end of the season as we harvest tomatoes, then that information will be available to the public.
Yes, so we'll take all of that information that we have gathered over the growing season, which has really already started,
Right.
Put it all together in a nice, neat document. Betsy and her outreach educational team does a really fabulous job making all of our documents look nice and pretty, and informational, of course.
And free.
Yes, and free. So we'll get you all of that information, and then you guys can do your magic, and then it'll be available to the public. So the last part of the trial that we'll finish up right at about Halloween, which is our average last frost or first frost date here.
Right.
So right before we have our first frost that will kill all the tomato plants, we're going to do a blind taste test. So really, not only will we have measured the sugar content and the sweetness, but then we will do a blind taste test with all of the different varieties throughout the Master Gardeners, and we will be able to have a vote as to which one actually tastes the best.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it should be really fun.
That sounds good. Well, Christina, let's take a tour and see what you've got here.
Sure. So the first thing I'll point out is all of the tomato plants in this trial are being watered by drip irrigation. This is the best way to be water efficient and not waste any water. And so you can see that our line is tied in, and then each plant has 4 little emitters. These emitters emit 1 gallon of water per hour each, but we don't run each zone for an hour.
Okay.
So they're getting just enough to survive without being wasteful. The next thing you'll notice are the big wire cages. These tomatoes will be huge at the end of the growing season, and so we really needed some very stable, strong cages.
Right. What are these made from?
Just galvanized wire.
In case somebody wants to make some for home,
Yeah,
is what I'm thinking. They're not the usual tomato cages
No,
that you can purchase.
these were actually purchased,
Okay.
but more from a wholesale supplier than your typical just regular tomato cage that you find
It
at your
just
big
looks so
box
nice
store.
and sturdy.
Yes, it really is.
I have a little tomato cage envy at the moment.
Oh.
Yes, they look great.
The next thing you'll notice is, and this one's just turned around, are our labels. And so what we've done is we've labeled each row. So we have A, B, C, and D, and then the variety. So, and the number is the first plant. So A1, and this is Bush Early Girl. And then this is A2, Bush Early Girl. And like I said, we have 4 of each variety. So Bush Early Girl, Bush Early Girl, and then this one starts Laroma. And then on this row, you'll notice I had mentioned these are the wrapped wire cages. So these are the exact same cages, just wrapped with plastic to give some wind protection. And I don't know if you can get in there, but these plants look a little bit better than the ones that aren't wrapped. This guy too. And they have the same labeling. So these are red rockets that we've just looked at. Pretty cool. And then it just goes down the row.
How did you choose or find varieties to test?
Well, so I really wanted a lot of our researchers with AgriLife trial varieties that aren't ready for the public yet. They're
Okay.
trialing actually for the seed companies, which is super helpful for the seed companies and for the industry. But since I work with the general public, I wanted to trial plants that the general public could go out and find.
They already could find it somewhere.
Yes,
At a
and-
seed company or a...
Yeah, so a lot of these,
Seedling.
I bought seedlings from some big box stores here locally and some local nurseries. Some of these were started from seed that were easily found from popular seed companies. So all of these varieties, the people of Lubbock should easily be able to find. I didn't want to trial something that and tell you, oh, you should grow XYZ tomato, but then nobody can find it. That's not helpful.
That's right. That's right. That's great.
You want to keep weeds out of your vegetables and really out of your landscapes in general. They compete for water and nutrients. And especially here in West Texas, both of those are very valuable things. And so once you keep your weeds out, you have less competition, like I said, for water and nutrients. And a lot of times weeds will bring in pests and diseases. And nobody wants that. So the cleaner your space, the better your plants are going to be.
Well, I will look forward to getting the results of this. And so for 2022, we
Yes.
should have all kinds of information
Yes, well,
for
and I
people about tomatoes and what
Yes.
grows.
And I hope you guys will come back and visit here in the next few weeks. We should have a jungle of tomatoes.
That'll be great. Thanks so much for meeting
Thank
with us
you.
today.